of the reasons why both the entrepreneurs and politicians and governments are all struggling in Africa. And Africa is a big economy. The only thing is that we are not exploiting that economy enough. We are allowing barriers to impede our thinking capacity, our boldness to expand as entrepreneurs and businessmen. I remember I did a talk in Nigeria around May, and I was talking to businessmen in Nigeria. And one of the things I told them is that Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa. But the problem we have, which resonates across the whole region, is that as businessmen, we are not bold enough to, as Jayta said, to take that sacrifice or to take that risk of expanding our businesses beyond our borders. We are all very comfortable in our comfort zones or our regions. So, for example, you will find a businessman in Senegal. He is more than happy and comfortable with the little he is getting in Senegal. He doesn't want to risk expanding this business to, say, for example, Ghana, Conakry, Mali, or Gambia. We've got to do better than that, because I think it is Senegal that I went to, and I saw a chicken shop or a chicken outlet that sounds like and they cook something that is very similar to KFC, but it's only in Dakar you find it. I wish that businessman can be brave enough and go beyond the borders. We would defeat KFC in the whole of this region. So as entrepreneurs, the advice that I want you to take from this is that someone was bold enough and say, I am going to make this event happen in the Gambia. And I'm going to make sure that I invite all our brothers from Senegal, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, to come to Gambia so that we can have this event today. And the person took risks. And those risks are that the event could fail. And what would the guests or delegates say about the organization or the way the event was organized? But he said, no, I am going to try everything possible to make this happen. And he made a lot of us to cross borders to come to the Gambia to attend this event. What we want is this to be our mental dogma or conviction from here, is that as entrepreneurs, we are going to make sure, because you see, that chicken in Dakar is something I crave for, but I cannot have it in the Gambia. It's something I crave for in where I am in Brikama. Not only the businessman is depriving himself of the profit, but he's also depriving me of something that I would want to eat. And this is what we are doing to our fellow Africans. If we expand these businesses, you know what will happen? We will create jobs. And when we create jobs, central governments gain revenue from the taxation of the employers, or the employees that we're going to employ. And the trade and so many other business, farmers will also make profit out of it. Because if you're not able to import potato from Senegal, a local potato farmer in Gambia can be able to sell it to the outlet, and they will be able to make profit out of it. So what I am saying is, let us take certain takeaways from the event today. Let's be bold. Let's understand that if we do business within Senegal, maybe in a month we will get 1 million CFA. But if we do business in the whole of Africa in a month, we will get 1 billion CFA. That's how we turn Africans into billionaires and not just millionaires or hundredaires or thousandaires, but billionaires. And the more billionaires we have in Africa, the more the continent will be rich. Let's think about this. Politicians alone cannot make Africa rich. Businessmen have to lead in that. You guys have to initiate, you have to create, you have to be innovative, you have to inspire, you have to create all of these things and compete with the Chinese, with the Americans or the Europeans, so that we as Africans can also be able to register development and progress. So I want everyone here to take that away with them, to ensure, just like Jaita said, to make that sacrifice, to say, I have a good business in Senegal, everything is perfect here, but I'm going to take that little sacrifice of my time, my comfort, and everything else, and then go to a country where I cannot speak any language. I cannot speak the English that they speak. I cannot speak the local dialects that they have there, but I'm going to make that sacrifice to initiate something there, not just because I want the profit, but I want to bring something to that country because they are our brothers, and because I want Africa to become like Europe, to become like the United States of America. So let me, because I've taken a lot of time, but just like I said, I was inspired by the deliberations that have been made here. And it really, really made me want to become an entrepreneur. I tried it once, it didn't work. That's why I went to politics, but maybe I'll try again. So I want to, firstly, because my task here is to inaugurate a very good magazine, that which I think, and kudos to our sister, my darling, Fatou Camara Jr., for that initiative. And I believe that this is going to help, such magazines are going to help us to be able to break those barriers. Because I would encourage that it is not only in English, but that we have it in French and in Portuguese as well, so that we can all be able to read at the same time of the same stories. So Atiken, the name Atiken is a Jola word. It means a fighter for a good cause. And I believe that's what we are all here for, and we are inspired to become fighters of a good cause. It's truly a fitting title for this magazine, for the moment that we are in, because we really need fighters of good cause in Africa. After having so many fighters of terrible causes in this continent, we definitely need few to take us somewhere. So today we come together to recognize young African leaders who are working tirelessly to build a better future for themselves, for their communities, and the world. As I stand here, I am reminded of the immense potential within our youth. Your energy, your drive, and your ability to change the status quo. However, we must also acknowledge the challenges that stand in our way, especially corruption, which has been a barrier to our progress for far too long. And unfortunately, we are losing a lot of our youth on the dangerous seas, on the perilous journeys to go to Europe for greener pastures. This is the backway syndrome, which is killing a lot of our youth. Just as we speak in this country, we are grieving or mourning the loss of 190 youths that have boarded a boat and wanted to cross the Atlantic Ocean to get to Spain and the Canary Islands. This is now a real big problem for us because we are losing far too many of our future leaders. And no society can prosper without its future leaders. So I want everyone to take 1 minute silent so we pray for their souls. And as youths, I want us to be able to inspire every one of us that we can indeed make it here and we can indeed achieve that greener pasture in this country. So 1 minute silence to pray for our youths who passed away on the backway journey. Thank you. So, corruption is not just a political issue. It is a social and economic disease that affects every facet of our lives. As the chairman of the Kama Area Council, I have had both the privilege and the responsibility to work closely with local communities, and I have seen firsthand how corruption erodes trust, stifles development, and diverts resources from those who need it most. But I am also here to say that we can overcome this challenge of corruption. Every single one of us has a role to play in fighting corruption. It begins with integrity, being truthful to ourselves and to our people we serve, and for businesses to the customers we serve. It requires courage, the courage to stand up for what is right, even when it is very difficult. And it demands accountability, holding ourselves and those around us responsible for their actions. In my role, I have made it my mission to ensure that every project we undertake at the Council is transparent and the resources allocated for the benefit of our people are used for their intended purposes. Whether it is infrastructure, health, or education, we cannot allow corruption to rob our communities of our resources they so desperately need. You, the youth, have an incredible, important role to play in this fight. The next generation of leaders is in this room, or are in this room. The next generation of leaders are in this room. The change we want to see in our continent, the Africa, and in our sub-region, West Africa, will come from your voices, your actions, and your dedication. But we also need you to stand and fight against the temptations that often come with power, privilege, and wealth. And you're going to have all of these things in the future. You're going to be very powerful, either as a businessman, politician, or leaders. You're going to be very wealthy, either as businessmen, politicians, and that you're also going to be privileged too. So, but whenever you have those, just remember these words that I have just said. We need you to be fighters of good causes, not for personal gain, but for the well-being of your communities, your countries, and this continent of Africa. The fight against corruption is not easy, but it is necessary. The progress of our nation and indeed our continent depends on it. Without integrity, transparency, and accountability, dreams of development, prosperity, and equality remain out of reach for many. But with courage to make difficult decisions, we can turn things around. And that's why I am very grateful, I am very excited, I am honored to declare the Vatican magazine open, to inaugurate it, to start it, and we hope the good fight, the fight for good cause, begins today. And our number one fight in this continent, as the Honorable Halifa Sallah, who stood here, alluded to, about our wealth, Mansa Musa, the wealth that we had in this continent being siphoned into Switzerland and the other banks in Europe. It's all down to one thing, and that is corruption. But we've seen a new wave of new politicians in our continent, people fighting against it. Senegal, they said, Jub Jubal Jubante. In Gambia, we are trying to say, don't steal, don't lie. Jobrek. And I hope this magazine is going to be the vehicle to re-echo, to transcend those values, that mantra from here to every country in Africa, because if Africa and Africans are not deprived of their resources, solely we will definitely be Dubai or New York or many other developed nations. We would surpass many of those countries. But the only reason why we are not getting there and why Africans are still struggling is because few people tend to deprive the many from what is supposed to be for all of us. And we can change that. All of us, every one of us, we have the power, we have the strength, and with Atikin behind or leading us, we shall definitely get there. So with profound gratitude and excitement, I declare Etiquette magazine open and inaugurated. Thank you all.